A terrified mother, her two babies, they were wrapped in a sheet and forced into a car by Hamas on October 7th. Israeli Defense Forces are releasing the video of this brutality found in Khan Yunis.
The release comes as the International Court of Justice is hearing arguments challenging Israel's right to live in the biblical heartland. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports.
The Israel Defense Forces say they found the video in Khan Yunis. The IDF says it shows Shiri Bibas and her two children, 4-year-old Ariel and 9-month-old Kfir, taken captive on October 7th, terrorists wrapping them in a sheet and forcing them into a car.
Those who have the audacity to question our need to operate in Gaza, but don't have the decency, the basic decency and humanity, to demand that Hamas release our hostages first of all. They all should take a good look at this terrified mother, Shiri, clutching her babies.
Kfir has since turned 1-year-old while in captivity. Meanwhile, in The Hague, the International Court of Justice is hearing arguments over Israel's so-called occupation of Palestinian-claimed territory. Lawyer for the Palestinians Paul Riker says it's all about a Palestinian state.
The best and possibly the last hope for the two-state solution that is so vital to the needs of both peoples is for the court to declare illegal the main obstacle to that solution, the ongoing Israeli occupation of Palestine.
Attorney Andrew Tucker represents Fiji, one of the few nations speaking out for Israel.
Palestinians argue that Israel is illegitimate and that the Palestinians are the true indigenous people of Palestine, and they must have, at the very least, a state in all of the so-called occupied territories. That includes the old city of Jerusalem, the whole of the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, the Gaza Strip.
He says the hearing is an illegitimate process intended to undermine the sovereignty of a UN member state.
Fiji is basically arguing the court has no business in this conflict. This is a conflict between Israel and the Palestinians.
Tucker says in a worst-case scenario, the court declares Israel an illegal occupier.
The very existence of Israel in the territories, militarily, administratively, but also the settlements are all illegal. Therefore, Israel should withdraw all of that out of the territories. And that will be used in all kinds of political processes to boycott Israel, to isolate Israel.
Meanwhile, in the UN Security Council, the U.S. vetoed a resolution for a ceasefire, but is circulating another proposal calling for a temporary ceasefire linked to the release of all hostages and humanitarian aid to Gaza. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you are concerned about the citizens in Gaza, the civilians, and who wouldn't be concerned, put the pressure on Hamas. They're the bad actor here. They're the ones that committed all of the atrocities on October 7th. Until they unconditionally surrender, until they release all the hostages, until they lay down their weapons and say, we will not do this ever again. Until that happens, the civilians of Gaza are at risk. And they're at risk because of Hamas. For this international court to take up the issue of whether or not Israel is a legitimate state is absolutely incredible to me. It's well settled under international law that Israel has a right to exist. That was one of the declarations following World War I, and the reason there was a British mandate. That mandate was to create two states. It was the Palestinians who refused that. Israel took up the offer, and in 1948, the UN recognized Israel. What did the Arabs do? What did the Palestinians do? They declared war. They lost that war. They've lost every single war they've ever waged against Israel. And to say somehow or other they're longing for peace and all of this, no, they're not. When they say from the river to the sea, what they're asking for is for Israel to be wiped out. Now they're trying to do it in an international court that certainly has no jurisdiction over this kind of claim. If you want more information about the history of the modern state of Israel, we have it for you. It's called Whose Land Is It? And it goes through the claims of the Palestinians and the claims of the Jews. The Jews have the historic claim, and Jews have been in Israel for 4,000 years. And to say anything different is not accurate. It's not part of history or archaeology. If you want that, it's for a gift of any dollar amount. Call us 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/whoseland.